Hello. Most of you know that I'm a big fan of professional football. Um, Sorry for those who like Canadian football, but my taste is NFL, American football. I really love this game. I think it's a very beautiful game when it comes, it's very spectacular when it's well played. And I said once that it is such a beautiful sport played by such despicable men. I believe that many in the NFL as a rap sheet, and those who haven't, the white majority, should deserve one. There's this culture of violence, manhood, gangs, and it starts even in high school, way before it's professional, when there's some kind of God in their community, and they will commit any kind of crime or do stupid things and will end up with, at worst, a slap, or at best a slap on the wrist, depending. you know why I'm talking about this. Well, the season just began last week, but also one of the big news in football, but also throughout North America, is the case of Ray Rice, this football player. The fact that you may know him or not is not really relevant. That what you need to know is last year, well, no, in February of 2014, a few months ago, it was said, and there were some footage that well, no, I will not even call him Mr. Reed, that individual, it is fiance, to the point that he had to carry her out of an elevator. And the league responded by suspending him for 2 games. Some would say, oh, 2 games, when you know that the NFL suspend players for first offense of being tested positive for marijuana for 4 games. So the message is said, if you smoke pot, it's way much worse than hitting and beating your domestic partner. But since the league said, oh, we will look at more seriously, up to yesterday, when the footage inside the elevator, when the action took place, clearly showed Rice hitting like a boxer, hitting the fiancée and really knocking her to the ground. And then the league suspended the player indefinitely, and the team fired the player until that the world see it was kind of okay, and they will. But since the world see it, it's not okay anymore. And it raised the question about domestic violence. What is acceptable, what is not, what should be done and what should not be done. And for me, maybe the most tragic point is the wife the fiance who married the guy after that, and for the last few weeks is either apologizing to have caused such a difficult time for her husband, and asking people to mind their own business, to stay away from the affair of their family. It really saddened me to see someone who has been a victim of violence kind of claim that that's her fault, that that she was sorry that her boyfriend hit her and he lost his job because he hit her. It's very troublesome to see in 2014. We're not 1938 or 1744. 2014, after all those years, after all those battles, that somehow there's still people, and not just one or two, there's still a lot of people that think that that kind of behavior is somehow acceptable, or something that need to be dealt inside the family, media and court system should not be involved in those kind of things, it's still troublesome. And I think we have something to say about that as a church, as a collectivity that cares for one another. It starts by education, the way we raise our boys and our girls. And I'm starting with the boys because often we put everything on the girls and said, well, we need to teach our girls what is acceptable and not acceptable. Maybe we need to start with our boys, saying since the beginning, it's never acceptable to hit your partner, except maybe in case of self-defense, like real self-defense, like your life is in jeopardy. But besides that, there's no excuse, there's no good reason, there's no justification to hit another human being. Period. And if you do, you will have to suffer the consequences and take ownership about what you have done. There's no such thing as she pressed on my button. No. Yes, there's people getting under her skin, but does not mean that we have to become like cavemen and kill everyone. No, that's not acceptable. We need to boost self-esteem in those girls. Said you deserve better. You're worth better. This is abuse. This is not love. That too need to be taught. Also, as a church, we need to be involved in our own community. It's not them out there that people are victim of domestic violence. It happens in our pews. Because statistically, if you have 100 people in your pew, or 100, let's say, couples, you have some. That's a given. It's almost impossible that if you have 100 people, that there's none that never suffer domestic abuse. So we need to be aware of this, vigilant of this, and proactive. Not to wait that someone might say something and then we might intervene. No, we need to be proactive. We need to watch for one another. And I'm not talking about being paranoid or vigilante, but to learn what are the signs, the warning signs, and to do something. We need also to raise that issue over and over and over and over again. So our leaders, politically or whatever the level, whatever the responsibility, that's kind of at the top of their agenda. That it's so easy to forget domestic abuse. It happened at home, and it's not necessarily the most spectacular news. Once in a while it comes, and then in a news cycle another news happen and you forget about it. But no, thing is, people who are victims are not just victims usually one time. It's over and over and over again, and abusers are not usually doing it once. It's a pattern that need to be broken. And as a community, we need to raise that message, to put it out there, to push it to the point that people who are in leadership position have no other choice that to put that on the top of their agenda and to keep doing something about it, to make sure that we have the laws, but most importantly, we have the resources, safe place, programs, support. When we have partners that have to decide whether it's their safety or to eat, because sometimes they're isolated, if they have to face the choice of what, I'm leaving and I have nothing to eat, or I'm staying in an abusing system and I can survive. That should never be a choice in a civilized society. And we need to say that out loud and to continue to push it, to get on people's nerve if we have to. It does not matter. As long as things happen, as long as the system improves, as long as there's more and more services, that no one has to suffer from it. So I hope that if you're in a situation of domestic abuse, I hope you will have the courage to do something. And I say courage, it takes a lot of courage. That you will be strong enough to do something. I hope if we are in a situation that we are aware of something, we will do something. We will call the police. We will make an intervention to our friends. We will speak up. And I hope that those in a position of leadership will not rest until we have, I almost want to say that we have solved this problem, but not sure we're close to that, but at least we can improve this, that we can help people. So let us care for one another. Let us train each other. Let us teach to each other what is acceptable or not. Take care. Take care of yourself. Think of yourself. Think of one another. And talk to you soon.